Yeah, it's down below. Fuck. I guess I wasn't supposed to take the elevator. Or that. Or we can do this, I guess, and not die. Oh, that's what I need! I'm not a Void Elf. I was gonna Void Elf port, but I don't have it. Because I'm fucking Horde. God damn it. I'm gonna probably die. Whoops. This is not supposed to be the thing. I'm just gonna take a guess. I'm not dead yet. It's like a big ass black hole. Just go into the maw. Do they have like a separate way into the maw here? Nope, there's the dead bodies. Incoming imminent death. Oh, I'm alive. Oh no, I'm not alive. So, here's my impression of the game overall. Current state of Shadow Priest and Shadowlands. The secondary stat scaling is better. The gear, we're getting more from the game as a whole. And at the very least, 9.0 will feel like BOD. That's what I'm feeling right now. And Shadow or Death acts like Whispers of the Damned, providing they keep the insanity in there. So that's promising. What I don't know, because 8.1 BOD didn't play good either. It was better. It was better. It was better than 8.0, but it wasn't. 8.1 was not my standard. Like BOD was not my standard of happy. I wasn't happy until 8.2. So the question is, what else is going to get us? It felt better than Uldir. It felt better than 8.0. So automatically Shadowlands is going to be better than 8.0. So that's good. The question is, how much better? I think with the gear that we're gonna have, we're looking at maybe BOD as far as stats feel, and then salt and pepper that with the Covenant, how the Covenants might make it feel. So Nightfade Covenant with the Bender, I kind of liked how it feels with all that extra insanity from Bender. So that was kind of nice. Also running... The biggest surprise I've had is because Shadow or Death can be cast at any time, it's acting like a replacement for Whispers of the Damned as a trait. So if you play it right, you can jump right back into Void form pretty fucking quick, so that feels nice. Cooldown reduction stuff is... I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe they're doing that. Like, this isn't like 8.2 and 8.3 where they started putting that stuff in. They want to break the game in the first patch. That's fine. Meaning break it, make it powerful. I'm fine with it. But then they're not going to be able to take it up a notch the rest of the expansion because we already have everything. Not necessarily Shadow, I mean like game-wide. What do you look forward to after that? What do you look forward to after that? That's the problem. They're willing to let everybody have busted-ass cooldowns, but they won't let Shadow Priest have Void form haste buffs. Like, what the fuck? COI is like mass hysteria and how evil it was to Shadow Priest, and most people just blame Void form for everything bad it did, and I'm like, come on, like, that's why I'm... I mean, I like COI, but like, it was unhealthy. They shouldn't have nerfed our base kit to allow COI to be OP. No, dude, you know what they do? They nerf our dots and our fucking spirits instead of nerfing COI into the fucking ground. So now, like, I'm just... They, even when they fix shit, they don't fix the right shit. It's always the wrong shit. Yeah. And you all will hate me for this, but I think that I completely understand why they're doing that. They need, because Shadow responds a certain way to borrowed power more than any other spec in the game, they want all the borrowed power to be in the game and done as close as reasonable before they can figure out what's left to do with Shadow. Because Shadow, and a few other specs, but mostly Shadow, like, it's bigger with Shadow than any other spec. They might change the wrong thing. I can understand, actually. I don't agree with it. I want stuff and I want it now. Do it, throw it all out here now. They should just buff Void Form haste, just do it. But they're scared to. They don't want to. Here's the thing: they know if they buff Void Form haste, they won't be able to nerf it without pissing off everybody. So once they give us something, they don't want to have to ungive it. Same thing with the corruption. They didn't want to like take it back once it was out there. They couldn't take it back. There's no undo button once you give players stuff. So I think that's what they're wrestling with. You just missed my big-ass speech about why I think Blizzard is holding Shadow Priest until after Covenants are done being fucked with. To be fair to Blizzard, right?
Affliction got shat on so hard.
Like, we want the spec to be fun to play even when we're fucking naked, you know? Baseline, but Blizzard don't think that way. So they designed the game around
a spec of it should be like
the package, right? Everything. Covenant, borrowed power, all this crap. So in order to do the final assessment on Shadow, I need the rest of the stuff. I need a little bit more gear. I want pre-raid BIS gear, which I've calculated is like 30% haste. And I have like half that right now.
Damage over time.
I have 17 right now.
It's like their whole
And it
thing.
already feels better.
Fuck demons, fuck poor man's mage.
It feels
Only
good for
affliction.
considering how much haste I have is pretty low. I mean, it's not like great, but it's like it's not like Old Deer. Old Deer made me want to cry. Dude, with that Shadow or Death, that feels almost like 8.3 opener right there. It's so fucking close. It's so close. That gives me so much hope. They better not change Shadow or Death. Watch for that. Now, if my Shadow Priest was a Night Elf Shadow Priest, you could sell the Night Fae a little bit better. But I'm on the live game. I'm a Void Elf, so it's even doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm not an RPer, but I kind of need my character to feel like it makes sense. I hope they do fucking templates after the wipe. I really hope they do. Here's what's scary. How is anyone supposed to pick a Covenant and not regret their decision? When you don't... I've been fucking with them for 2 days, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know which one I want to play. If I had to pick right this second, I'd almost flip a fucking coin between Venthyr and Night Fae. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. That's your issue as well. Wish they'd just compromise and put like a... And I said, somebody asked me earlier, you know, what Covenant will I go? I'm gonna figure out which Covenant total package deal gives me the biggest void forms, and that's what I'm gonna play. And that's what I'm gonna play.
I'm sticking into high gear here.
That's what I'll pick based on, and raid content specifically.
Man, I couldn't do it.
Issue is, they want you to pick your Covenant and stick with it. And like I know, like I care the most about raiding. I don't mind if I pick my Covenant that I think will give me the gameplay and overall raid experience. And I bet you there's Covenants that are gonna feel like they're a little bit better for Mythic Plus. But I don't think... I think the intention is the differences should be small enough where people don't need to switch constantly back and forth. But the question is, can they do it? Can they pull this off? Because there's 4 Covenants, they're really... There's so much shit. Why do you want to deal... I don't want to deal with 4 Covenants. Like, I just don't. That's just a lot of... That's like having, like, 4 alts. I'd rather focus on something like it, min-max the shit out of it, and be amazing at that path that I picked. You just leveled from level 50 to level 60. And say this is live. You're supposed to know the answer on what you want to play. I don't know the answer, and I've been testing shit. I still don't know the answer. I don't know what I want. It's not clear what each covenant is supposed to be good at. Necro is the first one I could say, hey, this is a Mythic Plus fucking covenant, dude. If you're a Mythic Pluser, this is a covenant for you. I think the covenants lack identity to make it clear. Night Fae's a little clear. It's very supporty in nature. And I think it's gonna be overpowered as fuck because of that, but the Venthyr has some PvP elements, but I don't know. With the port it seems raid friendly. Like, there's a reason why it's popular in the discussion everywhere. But Shadow's compelling. But I know I'm choosing to be a Shadow Priest, and I know I'm going to be good at multi-dot. I'm going to suck at Mythic Plus. I'm good at a multi-dot raid boss. I'm going to suck at Mythic Plus. I'm going to be good at execute raid boss. I'm going to suck at the open world. And I know all of those strengths and weaknesses about Shadow, and I choose to play it over those strengths and weaknesses, and I'm happy to do that. What is the strengths and weaknesses of the fucking Covenants? I don't know! So how can we decide what we don't— it's like you're marrying a blind— I do feel like Venthyr spelled PvP because of how Mind Games is, specifically. I agree. So then, following that logic, what's the raid specs, you think? Night Fae? So not everybody in a raid should be... So I guess the other two... So you're supposed to be a Kyrian for DPS, and if you're gonna be the buff bitch, you're Night Fae. I wonder if that's the stick figure diagram on the Blizzard whiteboard. Open world don't need a covenant. It can be the same as the Mythic Plus one. Sadly, Night Fae for raid. Well, everybody can't be Night Fae. You need some straight DPS to buff, you know? The buff bitches need to have the other people's ego to stroke, I guess. From the looks of it, the feel that I got, big grain of salt. If you pick Necro, and I pick, say, Venthyr, and they fix Mind Games to give massive big dick insanity, that I think how it would play out is you could still raid, and it would be like how the Mythic Plus beam competed on some bosses, but generally overall Lucid was best, and that would be more like the Mind Games Venthyr scenario. So imagine you had to lock in your essences. That's how I picture Covenants. That's exactly how I pick them. But go look up Warcraft logs and look at the top 10 or top 20 logs on any single boss, and you see variation in the essences. And for Shadow, it was the Beam, Breath Major, and Lucid, and they were all viable. They were all viable. And then some fights were better than others, and yada yada yada. But if you wanted to, you could run the Beam for every fucking boss if you want. But because we could run Lucid, you were expected to switch for the boss that it was appropriate for. And because we could run Breath of the Dying, you was expected to switch for the boss that it was valuable for. If they tune it to be incredibly small differences, I think it will be fine. And I think that that's okay. If I got to lock into Lucid Dreams for the entire raid of Nyalotha, I would have actually been okay with that. And I'll just own some people on some bosses, and then the Beam people would own me on other bosses. I'm okay with that. I hate the Beam. I hated the Beam. I hated it. I don't like that gameplay. I didn't want to... I don't like it. Because then it's gonna be... You have to swap every week to parse... Alright, this is gonna be the Venthyr boss of the tier, right? That's just got an edge. Maybe it's a teleport or whatever. A lot of movement or whatever. And then to parse it, you have to switch to Venthyr that week to parse that boss. And then the next week you rotate into the other covenant so you could parse this other boss. In other words, min-max the bosses. And then you would have to do them all. I'm not feeling that. I don't want to fuck. Here's why. When you switch a covenant, you have to go get renowned. I'm not interested in letting people switch that are gonna go grind out the renowned to have all those covenants at the same amount of renown so they can parse. It's unhealthy and unnatural competition. It's the same type of issue as the Azerite and how the players are gonna handle it. If you let people switch, they're gonna fucking switch all the time. So if they switch all the time, then you have to switch all the time to keep up with them. Does that make sense? So I see where Blizzard's going with making it very hard to switch. I do understand that. I'd rather focus on something like it, min-max the shit out of it, and be amazing at that path that I picked. I'm not... So... I'm like somewhere in this middle ground of the two sides of the debate. I think there's a balanced answer that it needs to be. I don't claim to know what that answer is, though. But I think the covenants need to be straightforward on what the fuck you're getting, what you're marrying for the rest of the expansion. And yes, I know you can change it, but you're still gonna have to go lose precious farming time to redo what you've already done with Renowned. Like, I don't know, like, whoever played Legion, alright, do you remember when you played Legion, if you spec'd your artifact weapon, you went around the wrong way on your tree, and you fucked yourself a little bit? If you had to go back and respec, you lost AP? Yeah, that's what Renowned is gonna be for Covenant. So you're not gonna want to switch, just like you didn't want to respec your weapon in Legion. You pick a path. They didn't want you undoing that. But some people fucked up, and they had to go back and fix it, and that's gonna be like Covenants. Except more people will get the wrong answer. We're more likely to pick the wrong covenant. I don't even know what the fuck the right covenant is for me. But I'm scared because I'm the type that once I pick something, I won't want to redo the Renowned. I won't want to switch. So that's gonna fucking suck if I pick wrong. I've joked with people I know. I'm like, this is the play. Don't play the expansion when it first comes out. Just log in 2 weeks later. Let the shit hit the fan and the dust settle, and then you copy the right answer. And then use all the catch-up mechanics, and you'll be ahead of everybody else. I really don't like this Void Bolt one either. Because Inevitable Truth wasn't a numerical gain. Like, this is gonna be bad. And it's also going to be tedious to play with. So I wish they would do something with this one. They should change it to be... I don't know. Something... I don't want to I'm not going to design a game for them. They can come up with something better than that. Guaranteed to have one if you crit. This one says, if you don't crit, you then have a chance. So it's not an exact mirror. If this was an exact mirror, then we just get spirits for every time pain ticks. That would be funny. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna defer to the more mathy guys on this, but I feel like it's just not gonna be good. So, because it comes at the opportunity cost of another conduit. And it's a chance on a chance. It's really weird. It's really weird to think about, but I know why they're doing it. They're trying to make it where our other, you know, our our versatility and mastery have value. Others. Stupid fucking devouring plague proc. Ooh, look, a shiny! Look, a button to press. That feels like a waste of my time. It feels like just busy work. Not happy with that conduit. I don't like that conduit. Be fully mobile, because your mind play is replaced by Ascended Blast, and it's like an instant. And it sounds cool, right? And it's going to be for a lot of people, but the downside that I didn't like is Ascended. If you can't cast Mind Flay and you have Ascended Blast, its cooldown can get locked up with Void Bolt and make you not be able to cast anything if you fuck it up. So the way that it behaves, in my opinion, is there's almost a very specific sequence that you need to do, and if you fuck it up, you're gonna miss a global, and it feels really bad. I don't like that. It has like that, here's this window of time, and you have to do this exact thing, and if you fuck it up, you'll miss a global, and it's gonna feel bad. And that, because it's a window, it reminds me of Mage. So some people might like that. So it's good. Just not for me, because I don't like the concept of like, I hate 3-minute, this for me, I hate 3-minute cooldowns. I hate like burst windows where like, here's your cooldown window and you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G casts in this burst window. That I don't like that kind of DPS, because that's just what every other DPS in the game is. And it doesn't resonate with me. And I'm a little weird, sure. I spent like 8 years as a healer, and I've been pushing Shadow as my main instead of like an off-spec thing since Legion, and like, I don't like cooldowns. I don't like windows of do exactly this. To me, it felt claustrophobic and constraining. And when I play Night Fae on the dummies, it's more fun than like say Kyrian. But I'm also supporting myself because of the support elements. It's sort of like being a shaman and like popping Lust and thinking shaman's the best thing in the game because it has Lust, but everyone's gonna already have Lust in the raid. So it's kind of weird. Only got 24. So it's gonna be slow, at least if it hits similar to that dummy. So we definitely can't use mind games like I'm using Shadowlord Death to act like a Whispers effect. You're gonna want to use it in Void form. And it has a cast time. In Void form. Yuck. I don't like that idea. That's why I went through all the extreme level to test the inbound insanity and what it's like. Racing Pulse was good for us, for example. It's a random proc of haste. And the same thing, there was a trinket in Legion called the Acrid, and it was similar. Like, you couldn't control when you were gonna get the haste from it. But Shadow, because Shadow is consistent damage, once you ramp up, you're mostly consistent damage. So unlike other specs, random haste is fine for us because we're always going to be able to use it. Is it going to affect our gameplay significantly? Basically no. It's going to be good for us numerically, traditionally it is, but I'm not getting a big deal from a gameplay standpoint. But it is a speed up. But it's 40 stacks every 2 seconds. That's 80 seconds. That's a minute and a half. Almost a minute and a half. I seriously don't expect me to like Necrolord because of their Covenant ability. From my understanding, and obviously I haven't played it yet because I'm making it now, but from my understanding, it's going to feel like Holy Nova. So I'm all set with that. I don't want... In a raid, if there's a bunch of ads spawning, I don't have to worry about running across the room to get in, like, a AoE pulse range of those ads. I don't want to fucking deal with that shit. That stuff... You know what it reminds me of? If anyone played with Echoing Void and cared about min-maxing that, like, it's like, okay, no. I hated that shit. I had to run Echoing Void in the first few weeks of patch 8.3, and it was a lot of damage, so I absolutely had to run it. It's something in between the two. Okay, here it is. Echoing Void, max health to surrounding targets within 15 yards. So this is the same. This is the same range and of Echoing Void. I don't like that. Dude, this is so cool. Did you guys see this shit where they look like the Plague Doctor? That's so fucking cute. It does hit it. That range is way bigger, dude. I think they might have changed it. And then the tooltip's not accurate yet. Or is it 15 yards? Dude, I need a rangefinder. The fuck? It might be 15. So, if this is 30, then this will be like 20. There's no... So, I guess the tooltip is right. I'm just like, apparently don't know what the fuck 15 yards looks like in the game. That hits that, but not that. Alright. So that's gonna be like, anything you're fighting in Mythic Plus will be in range of that thing. Kyrian requires you to do that claustrophobic sequence of casts to get a good boon of Ascended, right? This is just hit an instant ability. I mean, this is the beam, dude. This is gonna be a feels good Mythic Plus ability. But I doubt Kyrian can beat that. For most... I don't think it can, anyway. And so the question is, can I go to here? Was just out of range there, yeah. Anyway, like, if you think about all the corridors and bridges and all... I haven't done the new dungeons yet, obviously, but... I've only been on the beta a couple of nights. I'm thinking about all the BFA dungeons. Like, everything was always in range of that type of ability. The only downside is, like, a boss. You'd have to make sure to get used to that on the boss, you're close to him. Easy, cheap add damage. I hate it. But a lot of people dig that. So if you like the Azerite Beam, I think that this Necro is going to be good for a replacement for that. That's what I'm trying to say. But for me, I hate the beam. I would find every excuse under the sun to not run the beam, and then I'd run the beam because I'd have to parse a boss, like Hivemind originally. And I'm just like... And then as soon as I get my parse, I'm like, okay, I'm going back to Lucid Dreams now. Like, I'd just rather play something else. I don't like... But it's good for what it's good for, right? It has a... It's just because I don't like it doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. I can appreciate... Like, I appreciated the beam. I just don't want to play it. I just don't want to. But I have to because... Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's maybe what they're going for with the Covenants, is you don't... I don't have to feel like I have to play the beam because it's in the Necro Covenant that I'm not... I fucking busted my fucking ass to do... I farmed harder, I tried harder, I just min-maxed everything in my power because the spec tuning is not in my power, but I could... Knowing I have to try harder for that spot to earn that invite or to earn... I just took it as a challenge, I guess. And I know that anything that's super low tuned, Blizzard is going to buff them. And they did. 2 weeks after Mythic, Shadow got like the second adjustment. And then it was fine. Dude, I beat the Warlocks on my first Mythic Fetid kill, so... I wasn't supposed to be able to beat them, and I did. Underpowered spec, by the way. I got not only did I beat the Warlocks, I got top damage in the entire fight on the DPS check boss. So here's what I've learned. People overreact to that stuff. They really do.